Recording. I hope this works how I want it to. All right, so I am now online with a Miss Jessica Taylor, AKA DjTay. Is that correct? Hey. So, you are a traveling DJ who currently lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I believe you started social dancing in 2010. Is that right? Hey. Let me ask with you. I cannot hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. All right.
Okay.
All right, okay. So no. And you are the founder of For the Love of Bachata, which you started back in 2013, which helps promote your love of bachata with socials, festivals, workshops, as well as your DJing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Hey, so that's awesome. How are you doing today, then, Miss Jessica?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing swell. I'm very curious to know, I've only passed through Pittsburgh like once in my life. I'm very curious to know, what was your childhood like growing up in Pittsburgh?
I think it was like a classic American childhood. I grew up in the suburbs. We had a big yard to play in. I have an older brother. I think I had a lot of classic American experiences. I had a very good family.
Okay. I understand that. Yeah. That's all good. It's all good. I'm curious to know. I guess in your youth, what were some of your childhood? I'm sorry. What were some of your hobbies? I'm sorry.
As a kid?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm like the little sister. So hobbies involved doing whatever allowed me to spend time with my older brothers.
So no.
I was player 2 with video games. Or the one that had to wait like an hour until he would die so I could have a turn. I remember playing like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with him, Sock 'em Boppers, those things, or just go outside and kind of create different play scenarios, I like to swim, ride bikes. I did some girly stuff too. Obviously that had to be like on my own. So I did do like Barbies and stuffed animals and stuff like that. But yeah, that's like all I can remember from when I was like pretty little.
Okay, sure enough. I understand. And I'm very curious to know, I guess, in your youth, what were some of your favorite music genres? Or maybe favorite bands. What about that? Who were you listening to?
So my parents raised me on like oldies and classic rock. And then eventually, like in upper elementary school, I had a friend that got me into pop music, which didn't last very long because I shortly switched over to more like R&B music or those artists that are kind of like a crossover between R&B and pop. And in high school, I started like branching out more. Like so I've been cleaning my house a lot this week, and I just found a CD I had made with Hindi music on it.
Okay. So, Hindi? What is that?
It's one of the main languages in India.
Okay.
If you ever see like a Bollywood movie.
Right. So Hindu or Hindi? Hindi?
Hindi is the language.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I have all this like Bollywood, like Hindi music on CD.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I just have always loved music. So, my interests really diversified as I grew older.
Okay, so no. So you're growing up in Pittsburgh and everything. And I guess were you ever introduced to dance I guess before this, like while you were young, or?
No, not formally.
Okay.
But I would see like salsa dancing in movies, or even ballroom dancing in movies, and I always wanted to.
Okay.
We just weren't necessarily fortunate enough to get me into like ballroom lessons or anything like that. So I didn't even start dancing until I was in college.
All right, so and I'm curious, what about what impact did that Bollywood have on you? Anything at all?
That's a really good question. I don't know. So I had a lot of friends who were Indian or Bangladeshi, and they organized a desi night so it was like a night where they would do all these different dance presentations with different styles of Indian dancing. And so I participated in that. So I actually did do that dancing. It was called Dandia. And it was like a, I don't want to say like a team, but it was a group performance, and they used sticks also to create sound on top of the song. I don't know if that had any lasting impact on my life, aside from just really opening me up to appreciate new genres, cultures.
I definitely understand that. Cynthia, you said you branched out, and I can understand that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious, I guess, what happens after you graduate high school? Do you go to college, or like, what's your game plan?
Yeah. So by the time I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to become a teacher. Okay. So college was the next step. Yeah.
Where would you go?
I went to a state university in Pennsylvania called IUP. It's the University of Pennsylvania, which is very confusing because it's in Indiana County, but it's not related to Indiana University.
Okay, sure enough, I get you. and so you stayed in state. So were you close to your parents and everything, or not really?
It was about an hour away. Okay,
so close enough though.
Freedom. But
yeah, exactly.
I needed them. Yeah.
I understand that. I did the same thing. So you're going. So you already have a game plan. You want to go teach and everything. And so tell me about your time there. Then how was that? How did that help shape and mold you?
Oh man, college was a huge time of transition and transformation for me. That is where I started learning like to open up to dance, because I was always very self-conscious. And again, back to my older brother, if he ever caught me dancing in the house, he would make fun of me. So huge complex about dancing. But I would go out with friends to different parties and stuff, and like I just kind of like learned to like. Of course. What else happened? I don't know. I feel like I went through so many different groups of who I wanted to be and who I wanted to spend my time with. That really helped me grow up and mature as a person.
I'm curious to know what made you want to become a teacher? Where did that come from?
Oh, I think that's just related to my innate like desire to help people. My mom always likes to tell people the stories of when I forced my younger cousins like to play school, so I would make them math worksheets and definitely not age appropriate, because my younger cousins are like 4 and 5 years younger than me, so I'd be making them do like addition, subtraction. They're like 4 years old. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just someone who always likes to help people, and teaching allows me to help bring out the best in children, and help them believe in themselves.
Yeah, I get you. I definitely understand that. I definitely do. So, say you're in college and everything, and I guess how do you get introduced to salsa and bachata? How does that come about?
Ooh, okay. So I ended up doing a dual degree program, which extended my studies by an extra year. So my main friends had already graduated by the time I hit that 5th year, and I had to branch out and make some new friends. So I started hanging out with students in the Latino student organization, and they were very diverse. There was some from Colombia, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica. Trying to remember if there were any others. I'm sure there were.
I believe it, yeah.
And they were the ones that introduced me to Salsa, Bachata, and merengue.
Okay, sure enough. So yeah, you get introduced and like, what do you mean by introduced? Like, are there classes? Are you just going to parties with them? What do you mean?
Kind of both. So one of the girls, her name was Jennifer. She was from Colombia. She started like a dance team. So we would get together and she would teach some steps, but her ideas were more based on performance. It still gave me the basic steps. And then pretty much anytime we were hanging out, music would start and dancing would break out, so there were lots of opportunities to practice the basics. Yeah.
And so I'm very curious to hear that. Tell me, tell me about your beginner stage in dancing. What was that like?
It was so much fun. It was like I had discovered a side of myself that like had been longing to come out, right? I just always loved dancing, and I guess I just never had the right opportunities, but that really kind of made a lot of stuff click for me.
Yeah. When I guess what year was it? Do you know?
What year? That would have been 2008, 2009.
Okay, sure enough. Okay, so no, all right. So that's actually a while you've been dancing. Okay. So yeah, so you get introduced, and I guess you graduate. So what changes once you graduate? Like, do you stop dancing? Do you continue to dance? Do you join a performance team, or like what?
Yeah, I actually stopped dancing for a little while because I got I was fortunate enough to find a job right out of school at home in a great school district. So I was working on adjusting to the demands and creating my lessons and all that stuff. Yeah. And I also signed up almost instantly for a post-grad program.
Okay.
It was like a 15 credit teaching English as a second language certificate.
I've seen you to travel, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
1 month experience in Ecuador. So
nice.
Appealing to me. And at the time, I thought I wanted to spend my summers traveling and teaching English. So I thought it was perfect. So that kind of consumed like 10 months of my life. And when I went to Ecuador, I was like so excited because I swore like in Ecuador, the dancing would be so amazing. And I would learn so much. And when I got there, I was in, I don't know what to call it. Like the town was called Otavalo. It's in the mountains of Ecuador, and it has very strong roots in indigenous culture. So there was dancing, but I knew more than the locals at the time. I mean, by the standards, right, we have in the United States, they had the basic steps and a basic turn, and that's all they did. And they were very content with that. And looking back now, like that's totally fine. But at the time, it kind of awakened this hunger in me again to find salsa again and get back into dancing. Okay. So when I came home from that experience in 2010, I signed up for classes.
Okay. I'm very curious to hear though. Tell me more about your time in Ecuador. I guess how did you hear about this opportunity, and what was it like living in a completely different country? What was that like?
I'm not sure how I heard about it. Probably through the internet when I was in programs. But I had already studied abroad twice at that point. So anything that could take me abroad again was like perfect. Hey. I had spent a month in Costa Rica when I was in college for my Spanish program. I spent a semester in Valladolid in Spain. And then in Ecuador was a brand new experience. It's the only time I've ever been to South America. And in all three of those experiences, I lived with a family. So you really get that cultural immersion.
Yeah.
It was also good for my Spanish because
that's all they speak, right?
Yeah. But also as you travel, the vocabulary changes.
Right. Okay.
Negotiating meaning with people, and they're saying words you don't know, like chompa, and you're like, what are you talking about? And they point to their coat, and you're like, oh, I call it abrigo.
Right.
Expanded my vocabulary and gave me insight into a new culture.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you say when you get back from Ecuador, you say you sign up for classes, and where are you taking classes at that time?
I tried a bunch of instructors right away. I took like an 8-week or 12-week course that was held at the instructor's house. Her name's Linda. I also signed up at a local dance studio. It was called Absolute Ballroom. Ryan Mitchell was teaching that one. I think I dropped in for lessons with Jeff and Colleen, who run Salsa at Pittsburgh. I just I bounced around, but I did stick with the ones at Absolute Ballroom for several months.
And please tell me, I guess, I guess what made you stay with that one? Was that one better for a specific reason, or?
That's a really good question. Probably because I had made friends in that class. Okay. Yeah, for a while it was me and my first salsa friend Amanda, and couple other people, and we were just regularly going, so it made it really fun.
Yeah, okay. I'm very curious to know, I guess, what is the dancing scene in Pittsburgh like? What is that like?
Oh man, it is forever changing. When I was new, we had dancing 7 nights a week. We would go out, like all the nights we'd see all the instructors, all the highest level dancers. It did feel cliquey when I was new though. Nowadays, we don't have dancing as much. I noticed some of the leaders are still the same in the community, and we're getting older, and people are getting married and having kids.
Okay, life.
And when you go out, you know, we have a couple good nights a week now, but we also have nights where there's nothing going on.
Okay.
However, on the flip side, at least from my perspective, I don't think it is cliquey anymore. Or at least not as cliquey as it used to be. We have a very nice, welcoming community now, which I love.
Could you maybe say, you know, what has changed as far as the cliqueness? Has anything changed that you've seen, or is it just the influx of different people, new people?
Yeah, you're always cycling people in and away. They kind of change their focus in life. They grow up, right? They get family focused or whatever. So it is a new crop of people.
Yeah.
People are super welcoming and loving.
Okay, I definitely understand that. I say, I'm in New Orleans, and I think it's kind of the same thing. And I wouldn't say it's so cliquey, but I think it's like kind of a revolving door of people coming and going. You know, just life happens and their hobbies change or what it may be. So I definitely understand that, though. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, you know, I guess, so you started salsa, you know, back in college. Were you also doing bachata at that time, or like when did you get introduced to bachata?
Yeah, they taught me the basics of bachata, and I knew some of the music at that time, but salsa was still my focus.
Okay. And so when did you get introduced to bachata? Or I guess when you moved back from Ecuador, were you taking salsa classes as well as bachata classes, or just strictly salsa at that time?
It was just salsa.
Okay. And so then tell me, when did you start to take bachata more seriously?
I would say a few months into learning and dancing in Pittsburgh. I really loved the music, but I noticed that my community didn't really love the music or the dancing as much. There maybe were some bachata lessons. There probably were, but my community was mostly focused on salsa. So with time, especially as I started learning to travel and I would go to nearby dance communities like DC, you know, I would hear new music. I would dance with these people that were really good at bachata.
DC is a good scene for bachata.
Yeah. But I would come back to Pittsburgh like, guys, there's so much more to this. Like,
right.
You know, so I was basically asking like all the DJs to play more, because I think at max there would be like 4 bachata songs played at night.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I had to travel to get my fix back then.
I'm curious, does Pittsburgh have a big, I guess, you know, Hispanic population, Latin population, or?
I mean, we have one. I don't know how large it is necessarily, because they don't necessarily participate in dancing as much.
Okay. I understand.
But yeah, I mean, but we do have some neighborhoods with a higher population of people of Mexican descent.
Okay. Yeah.
And as a teacher, I come across other families who are from all over, from Chile, from Argentina, from, you know, Central America, from Spain. So they are here. I think a lot of them are just kind of
okay.
Community.
I'm curious. What is I guess are your socials? Is it kind of, you know, a melting pot?
Sorry, I didn't.
Like your socials, you know, your
our socials. Yeah, it is. Like we have people of all ages that come.
Yeah, okay.
People of all ethnicities. Yeah, it is fairly mixed.
Sure enough. All right, get you. So say you said a couple months in you're doing bachata and everything, and I guess, who you taking class with at that time? Who was offering it? Or
I think I had started, well, yeah, I must have. I had started taking private lessons with a guy named Sonny Moyer here.
Okay.
He used to perform, and he would travel, and he's the one that took me to DC for the first time and really got me hooked on traveling for dance. So yeah, I would take lessons with him weekly, and we would still mostly focus on salsa, but he would throw in like a bachata song and just check, and then he'd be like, yeah.
Okay. So you actually taking salsa privates at that time?
Yeah. I would.
Okay. Yeah. So let me, so let me ask you this then. I'm curious, for maybe someone else who might be in your same position, someone who wants to learn a dance style, but unfortunately it's not maybe big in their city, or they're not even offered the opportunity. Is their only option, to travel to pick it up, or is there anything else they can do?
You can create your own community, which is what I'm having to do here.
Okay. Yeah. Sure enough. All right. So let's talk about that then. So, I guess you're taking privates at one point, and, I guess what sparks the desire to, to create your own community? And was it just your love for bachata? Is that what it was?
Yeah, no, literally it was purely out of love for bachata, because I had no plans of any of this happening. If we went back to, like 2012, let's say, and you were to tell me like you are going to totally turn your community on its head, it's going to become more bachata than salsa, it's going to, you're going to be a DJ, you're going to travel, you're going to get hired by big congresses, like I would have told you you're nuts, because none of that was in the plans. When I started, it was really just out of a desperation to get people to like the music. I just created the page for the Love Bachata, and I would share music through YouTube videos, hoping people would listen and kind of get the bug in their ear, and then go to the DJs and ask them to play more of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So I want to hear about the beginning. So yeah, you just create the page, a Facebook page, and start sharing music. And I guess, what changes for you? Like, how do things progress?
Man, everything progressed so naturally and kind of accidentally. I had been doing this outdoor event, which I didn't really consider myself an event organizer. It was just someone saying like, hey, let's go have fun. I had heard of someone dancing up on Mount Washington, which is a scenic overlook of the city, because we have our three rivers, and the city's located down below. On the opposite side of the Monongahela River, there's, Mount Washington. It's like a big cliffside, and they have built these concrete overlooks, and you can literally see the city. So I had heard of some people taking like a little speaker up there and dancing, their styles of music. And so I copied the idea, and I would invite some friends. They some bachata up there. And after I had made the page, I did this again, and I posted some pictures. There were like 15 people there. That was the most people I had ever gotten to come before.
Okay.
Suddenly, everybody's commenting like, where's my invite? Why did you invite me? Like, I want to come to this. And so I did it again at the end of the month. I actually posted about it like publicly on my Facebook, and over 100 people came.
Really? This is the second time or what?
I mean, I had done it
okay.
5 times in the past couple of summers before.
I get you.
But we would get like 6 people, 8 people, so over 100 was just like...
That's crazy.
Yeah, insane. And people kept saying like they wanted more and more and more, and they wanted to dance in these different places. So the next month I actually rented a speaker for that and a generator, and we went down to the point, which is, right where the 2 rivers converge. Very beautiful. There's a big fountain down there. And, we set up music and we danced down there. There was a huge crowd again. I also learned that you're supposed to get permits for these things. They shut us down, which was great. Then I reached out to, on the suggestion a friend gave me, I reached out to Southside Works organization. It's a kind of a commercial area in Pittsburgh, but it's really pretty. And they actually let us, they closed down part of this private street and they let us dance publicly in their space.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like the love of bachata was growing because people also wanted to dance outdoors and they liked the music. Yeah, so it was just growing very naturally at that point.
That sounds really nice. Yeah. I want to ask you this now. You know, you kind of already said, you know, if you see something lacking in your community that you want, you know, you kind of you should start it yourself, right? For maybe, I guess, what gave you, I guess, the strength and the courage to actually go about doing this? You know, maybe someone else who may be scared or hesitant to do this. You know, what gave you the power to go ahead and do this?
Probably because I didn't take any of what I was doing very seriously.
Okay.
That was, I'm just creating a page.
Okay.
Just facilitating the transfer of information. Yeah, like everything has just been like one next baby step, you know, and if you just focus on that, just one step at a time, it's not so scary because you don't have to promise yourself that you're going to create a huge company. You're going to get people from out of town to come to your events. You're going to become a DJ. You don't have to promise yourself any of that. Just focus on the next thing.
I feel like you know, you're saying you went in without expectations then, right? Right. I understand that. So yeah, you went in without expectations, so you really didn't have any pressure on yourself. I understand that, definitely. All right, sure enough. So say you're hosting these events and you know you're getting a good following. You know, I guess what comes after that? You know, do you start DJing? Do you start teaching, or like what?
I started bringing instructors in.
Nice.
Workshops next. You know, as people started getting more into bachata, they started dipping a lot. And it was a very scary time to be a follow.
Oh my goodness.
Dipping requires solid technique.
Of course.
Weight is. So when I went to DC Bachata Congress next, which is always in August, I took this workshop by an instructor named David Norton, and he taught dip technique. I think he was substituting for someone else. So I don't think that's what I intended on taking, but it was like serendipitous because he taught this amazing workshop, you know, and I just knew like I have to bring him to Pittsburgh. I need this, you know. So we put it together at, I think it was in the middle of October. I did my first event and it was very cheesy, which is so unlike me. I hate cheesiness, but we called it Bachata because it was Halloween.
Okay.
He taught a couple workshops with his partner at the time, Lendra, and I also hired I think 2 other local instructors to teach like salsa and cha-cha at that same event, and we did a social. So I was like totally stoked that I think we sold like 30 passes.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I got a couple questions, honestly. I guess, could you give me maybe some tips or hints on, you know, event organizing? You know, it sounds like you were a natural professional at this.
Some tips. Well, I guess I'd already kind of done some events before. I also organized a large multicultural night at school. And I think in college, I helped organize something for one of my organizations. It's probably also the teacher in me that understands how to organize things, right? Because lesson planning is organizing. And so I apply that same kind of thought. So if I were to give advice to someone, for one, you have to make your numbers work. So many people let their numbers grow and have like no plan for how to get that back. So for me, I don't know, I always figure out what is going to be the total cost. How many people do I need, you know, and at what price do I need to sell these passes to make that work? And do I feel that any of that is reasonable? Okay. So that is an important part, being able to project your numbers. You have to be really, really diligent because you're going to end up reaching out to what feels like bajillion venues before you find ones that invite you in. end up changing venues a ton of times as well. So you have to be brave enough to go talk to people. What else? I know. And also, if you're going to do events, I would highly recommend you're keeping your customer's experience in mind.
Right, of course.
But for me, the people and their experience of bachata has always been number one. So yeah, as you're designing, think about like, is the schedule easy for them? You know, is the time of day considerate of their lifestyle? You know, just all of those things.
I definitely understand that. And I'm very curious to know, I guess going back to that workshop, I don't know if you remember anything. What are, some keys or techniques to doing a proper dip? Do you remember anything?
Some.
Okay.
I remember, well, for me as the follow being
perfect.
prize, that, I had to make sure my hips kind of went up. So many times we let ourselves totally collapse.
Right.
Knees, and to maintain our own balance, because I'm also responsible for my balance, I need to kind of push my hips up. So it's just, my torso is bending back. The dip is more an illusion than it is an actual dip most of the time.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah. And for guys, I'm not...
I mean, yeah, the follow is fine. Yeah, the follow is perfectly fine. Only what you know, honestly.
Yeah. So
that's sure enough. That's a big one. That's sure enough. So yeah. So you're organizing events. You start to bring in actual teachers, which is amazing. I guess that you said everything was a natural progression. So you're doing socials, you're bringing teachers, and then you start doing festivals as well, or what?
Yeah, the festival kind of grew. After that event, I was introduced to Carlos Cinta through Messenger.
Oh yeah, the big homie, sure enough.
Yeah. So one of our local instructors attended an event where Carlos was teaching and came back and was like, "I've never met anyone who loves bachata as much as you, but I found one." So we started chatting over Messenger, and he was my next choice. So we did a full weekend, like 8 hours of workshops.
That's awesome.
How to get a bigger venue. And so from there, I feel like it just kind of grew. Like that event was around 50, 55 people. The next two were about the same. And then I brought Carlos back with the Fab Four, which I'm not sure if you're aware. Fab Four is Carlos because he does, the music side of bachata. Edwin and Daniela, it was at the time, did kind of the dance side, and they would teach like regional styles and bolero, which is one of the roots of bachata, and Adam Taub, who teaches like the culture and the history.
Yeah, I just had them on. Yeah.
Fab Four. And when I brought them, my events went up to like 70, 80 people.
Okay. That's awesome. That's so awesome. So tell me about that. Tell me about, I guess, running a festival. What was that like? And I guess I imagine you were the head organizer, or?
Yeah. It, for way too long, I thought I could do it all myself.
Oh man.
Cannot. Cultivating a team is crucial.
Of course.
I can be a control freak at times, so it's really hard. It was hard for me to kind of learn how to invite people in. I would try to accept volunteers, but a lot of times they would back out. They would cancel the morning of, so I think I also had some like trust issues.
Of course.
Letting people help me. But eventually it just came to the point where I couldn't do it all myself. I was offering so many things to the people. I had to get the instructors to the venue, but I also had to pick up, like sandwiches for the lunch that we provided the dancers, plus the setup, the cleanup, like just all of the things.
Yes.
That was one of the biggest things I learned, was that I I couldn't do it all myself, and I had to invite people in.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Tell me about that. Tell me about you say you had a little trust issues because people were cancer and everything. How did you go about building your team? How did you find the right people, I guess?
So I literally just posted it. Like, I made a graphic that said help wanted, that I was interested in cultivating a team. I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like, so I was open to ideas. And I had some people first message me with their ideas of, like, what is fair? Because I honestly didn't know, right? If I'm asking you to help me, what am I providing you in return that makes
right.
Like, I feel like maybe that was a big holdup, that I didn't believe that people just wanted to help.
Okay, right. What was in it? Everyone, yeah, what's in it for me, right? Isn't that?
And I'm just thinking, like, I can't give them free passes because people don't want the events to grow past 80 people. They still want, like, a personal experience.
Right.
If I kept it growing, it would lose that, but I also can't fill up, one of my slots with free passes, because then the event is not going to be able to pay for itself. So I'm just, I was wondering, and as it turns out, some people just literally want to help.
Okay, that's awesome.
They want to be included. They want, to share their gifts. So with their feedback, I kind of created a program, and then I put it out again, and I'm trying to think how many people signed up at first, like 7 or 8. And I was trying to keep it by region, so I didn't want to pack too many people in the same place. But they've all offered to help, recruit people from their area.
Nice.
They try to come as often as they can. When they're here, they help me set up, clean up, kind of make sure things are running smoothly. And I mean, honestly, it's been like a dream. Like, these people that signed up are just, they're amazing.
Hey,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Nancy. You're doing, all these wonderful things. How does your DJ career come about?
Yeah. So obviously, since I couldn't motivate the DJs at the time to play more bachata music, when I started my events, I was the one creating the playlist.
Hey.
So I would just put my music first. I would create a playlist, make sure it sounded nice, that, it carried energy, and it also released energy. And I would put that on an iPod for those outdoor events. When I was in studios, I would play through iTunes as well. So I would kind of create a playlist, but then I would also watch, what people were reacting to, and I would modify it as we played. And eventually I started hearing more and more from different people, like, you got to learn to DJ. Like, first person, I got to give him credit for putting the idea in my head, was Mateo Johnson from DC. He runs Motion Envy. All the t-shirts that you see, like, that say that bachata though, or and chill, like, he came to one of my socials and he told me, he's like, you should think about DJing. And then there was a local DJ here, Carlos Feliciano, that also came to my social and was like a DJ, like, you need to actually, upgrade from iTunes.
Okay.
But at the time I was actually, I was doing a master's program.
So busy. He was busy.
That was one of the busiest times of my life, because I was still working full time. I was doing my master's and building for the love of bachata. So I told him when I was done, I would, and I kept my promise.
Yeah, sure enough. So I have to, I want to hear about that. Tell me about your beginner stage DJing. What was that like?
It was so scary. And then also, so many people want to help you for different reasons, and even those with the best heart, they all have different opinions, and when it comes to DJing, so it can also be very confusing.
Everybody's got their opinion, right?
Whether it's tractor or Serato, or mix your music or don't mix your music. there's so many opinions out there. So navigating that can be a little overwhelming.
Of course. So say you start DJing and everything. I really want to hear about that. I guess do you have I imagine you use vinyl, right? You use just what equipment do you have then?
Vinyl money. Those people are nuts. I admire. There's no room in my life for vinyl. No. So yeah, I purchase all my music.
What's your setup? Do you have I guess I don't know what you call it. I guess those CD or just
everything's just digital.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have a controller.
You have a mixer? Yeah, the controller's at the mixer?
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess, and what software do you use?
I ended up starting with Tractor.
Okay.
Several of my close DJ friends used it when I started. And, they said that it would be very easy to learn, and that was perfect for me.
Are you still currently using that, or? Okay, shout out. And when did you start DJing?
Summer 2015.
Okay, so that's for 4 years now. So you're pretty much a professional away.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Shout out. So let me ask you this then. I guess could you give me maybe 3 things you wish you knew before you started DJing?
3 things I wish I knew. I don't know if I can think of anything.
Okay.
I don't know if I've had any huge revelations. I feel like one of the things that's worked in my favor and made for a smooth process is just my conviction to be myself and not to listen to everybody's opinion all the time. Sometimes you just have to shut your ears off, I'm done, I've made my decision, and to go with it and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, you can always change. But I also was like that before. So
okay.
I think it was something that really helped me have a smooth process.
Okay, nice. Well, let me ask you this then. I guess tell me, what is your, I guess, mindset or thought process and when you're actually DJing a party? Like, do you make the playlist ahead of time? Are you playing to the crowd? What's your mindset?
No, I don't make a playlist ahead of time. I do sometimes. Well, I try to always create a preparation folder. So I will be listening to music, the day of, or even up to a week before, and music that I find is really inspiring me in that moment. I'll tend to drag into that folder.
Okay.
So that I will have it at hand. It doesn't mean I'll use it, but it's just stuff that I've listened to recently that I was really enjoying. Then I also just have all my folders that I've had to create, organizing by genre, by energy level is how I do it. I know everybody has their own system. When I'm DJing, I'm really focused on serving the people on the dance floor. I think when I started, maybe this is one thing, to go back to your 3 things I wish I had known. It's not just about what you like. And I think in my learning process, or it's not just about what you want them to learn, right? It's still about them. There's this give and take. So I'm trying to figure out, first of all, what do they like? What keeps them dancing? Sometimes you are playing salsa for a crowd and they only like medium tempo salsa. They can't handle fast salsa. Or a gig I had recently, they could not handle fast bachata at all. So I'm noticing these things. So some songs go over well in the beginning, some don't, but I'm learning about that crowd. I also am really focused on keeping energy flow. So it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? Like
Right. You can't have just nothing but straight fast the whole time, right?
oh, that's exhausting.
Right, of course.
You get up and then you bring it down. You give them a little break, but it doesn't mean you play boring music as you bring it down. You change it somehow.
Yeah.
You know, but that will keep people on the floor and not like running to go get a seat. And I am also focused on providing them something new, because sometimes, you know, I've been exposed to places where, you know, all the songs, sometimes you almost know what songs are going to be played next.
Of course.
So I try to play, you know, what they like and what really inspires them and that they can sing to, but also some new stuff that maybe they don't realize they might like. Right. So there's all these things that are going through my head at the same time while I'm DJing.
Yeah. I'm very curious to know, you know, how do you go about finding new music?
In the beginning, when I was learning, I used YouTube a lot.
Okay, sure enough.
Yeah, I would follow the YouTube wormhole, like watch one video and then see like what were recommended.
Right.
That, you know, nowadays, I don't know. I feel like I'm really in another busy time in my life, and I don't necessarily have time to just be looking for music all the time.
Right, of course.
So, I don't know if there's anything I actively do. Like I stay up to date with artists, and I know more artists now, so I'm also more aware when they are releasing new stuff. Also, if I am on social media and I notice a song that someone has shared or it's in the background of a video, you know, I will figure out what it is and add that to my collection.
I think Shazam is probably one of the greatest inventions.
Yeah, you know what? Shazam doesn't always work, though.
It doesn't.
I was in DR in May for Bachata Paradise, and there was this awesome song I could hear from far away. Not near where the DJ was, like to go ask. So I actually ended up recording it.
Nice.
Because Shazam could not help me, and I had to search it by lyrics. I had to track it down by like.
Fair enough. That's what we did back in the day. You had to try and remember just one part, maybe the chorus, and go on Google.
So I, you know, when I'm in it enough, I still do that.
Sure enough, yeah, of course. I definitely understand that. I would like to ask you this. You know, you've done a plethora of things in your career so far. What are, you know, some things that you've learned from, you know, event organizing, DJing, all of that you're able, you know, the skills you obtain and things you've learned that you're able to translate to your everyday life, you know, use in your everyday life?
One of the things I've learned from all of this, or maybe one of the things I've cultivated more, is a greater sense of compassion. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, we haven't been Facebook friends for that long, but I do birthday posts for the people that come to my events.
Nice.
So, you know, when you come to my event, especially if there's a picture, I create a picture that says happy birthday with your name on it, and I post something about you using what I have been able to observe. This experience, I've been doing that for, I think, a little bit longer than I've been DJing, actually.
All right, nice. That's awesome.
5 years that I've been doing that. So that, plus, you know, cultivating a team, plus cultivating, you know, my community through my events has really taught me to find the good in people, right? And to focus on that good and the positive side of things first. And even if something negative does come up, you know, like when I'm making those birthday posts, sometimes I've had to make a birthday post for someone who insulted me like horribly last week.
Okay.
For someone who has been super mean to me, and I still have to push it all aside in my mind and, you know, leaving my experience of them totally out of it, find the good, right?
That's tough.
And but doing that has helped me reshape my view of others, just helped me focus on the good first, and maybe recognize that sometimes in those situations, they weren't being their best self, but maybe they were going through something really hard, right? So it's the passion side. And it's also really improved my relationships with most of those people, right? Because when you recognize the good in them, it actually brings that side out more.
I definitely understand that. I definitely do.
Yeah. And that now applies to...
That's everything, right? Right. Let me ask you this then real quick. I guess, how would you define success, for the love of bachata? What would make you say this is successful, or is it already successful for you?
What makes it successful? I guess a successful event is one where you have, met the needs and expectations of your customers, right? Did they have a good time? Did they learn? Was it what they wanted? For most of them, you can never make everyone happy, but the majority, they want to keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And also, were you able to survive it, right? Like, financially, was it viable for you? And also stress, like, were you able to do that in such a way that you could keep doing it too?
Yeah.
All of those things. And by those measures, For Love of Bachata is successful because I'm there. I'm still, you're always working at it.
Right.
Pay attention to those things. But I think so.
That's awesome. I'm very curious to know, is this something...
Yeah, it sounds a little funny now.
What about now? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry about that. I was asking, is this something that you would like to, maybe become your full-time job, or would you like to balance it with, teaching? Or are you still teaching? I don't even know.
I am.
Okay.
I finished my 10th year, actually.
Okay, wonderful. Congratulations.
I don't know if I want dancing. I love teaching, and honestly, financially, being a public school teacher is way better. I have a good salary, and I have great benefits, and I get summers off.
Hey, it's hard to beat that.
If I were to make dancing and DJing my full time, I would be required to hustle. And I think, as a person, I just always like diversity of everything, of music, of experiences. So I like having both.
I understand that. Say you like to balance it, keep it balanced. I definitely understand that. So let me just ask you this one last thing there real quick.
Sure.
Could you give me maybe one piece of advice that could, I guess, motivate someone to, maybe, follow their dreams or do what they want to do instead of living in fear?
That's a good one. One piece of advice to motivate people. I don't know. I think the thing I keep coming across when I talk to people who don't necessarily believe in themselves is that, everyone needs to realize, every single person needs to realize that there's a lot more to them than they believe. Every person out there that doesn't think that they can do something, they can, but they have limited themselves. So I would tell people just believe in yourself, right?
Okay.
Nothing is great when you first start it, and every opportunity is one to improve the next time you're going to learn something. So just believe in yourself and take baby steps, and you'll get where you want to be.
Yeah, sure enough. I definitely understand that. I really want to, thank you for taking time today to talk. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I got a short in my microphone. Hold on a second. Can you hear me?
I can. It's not like the full sound.
But speaker. Yeah, it's going through my speaker. I got a short on my microphone. This just happened. It's the first time we messed up on. Hold on 1 second. Oh man. Just wait on it. Wait on it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what's going on with it, but real quick, could you tell me what are some of your upcoming events? What do you have going on in your life?
Okay, so next week I actually have 2 of my outdoor events, which I'm still doing. Next Wednesday we are at Southside Works again in the evening, and next Saturday the 27th is for the Bachata on Mount Washington again, which I'm still doing.
That's awesome. Okay, and let me ask you this real quick. I guess how can people reach out to you? How can they get in contact with you?
They could follow my page for the Bachata. They could follow DJing if they want. You could also send me a friend request or send me a message. I have DJing in as like my middle name on Facebook because there are like 6,000 Jessica Taylors on search Jessica DjTay, and I should come up.
Yeah, so yeah, I really want to thank you, Jessica, for taking time. Like I said, man, I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having
me. Of course. Yes, when I upload this, I'm going to make sure I put all your contact details, and then your contact information, the details below. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, sure enough. Yeah, like I said, Jessica, thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
My pleasure. You too.
Yeah.